Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamunatiravanachari. Jamunatiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astatada Satashi Shrimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari. All glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Canto 10, Chapter 22. Krishna steals the gopis' garments. Text 27. Yata bala vrajam siddha mayema ramsyata kshapa yad udishya vratam idham Cherur Aryarchanam Satihi Yataballa Vrajam Siddha Mayema Ramsyatakshpaha Yad Udishya Vratam Idam Cherur Aryarchanam Satihi. Yata Bala Rajam Siddha Mayema Ramsyatakshpaha Shyavatam Idam Chanam Satihi. Yata, go now. Abala, my dear girls. Vrajam, to Raja. Siddhaha, having achieved your desire. Maya, with me. Ima, these. Ramsyakta, you will enjoy. Kshapaha, the nights. Yat, which. Udishya, having in mind. Vratam, vow. Idam, this. Cheruhu, you executed. Arya, a goddess Katyayani. Archanam, the worship. Satihi, being pure. Translation. Go now, girls, and return to Raja. Your desire is fulfilled, for in my company you will enjoy the coming nights. After all, this was the purpose of your vow to worship goddess Katyayani, O pure-hearted ones. So I'm going to also do text 28, but first just read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's short commentary. He says, Krishna indicates in this verse that the initial enjoyment will take place on the auspicious occasion of night. O women, you are perfected, siddha, beings, but you have taken the role of sadhakas to increase the sweetness of the pastimes on earth. On nights in the near future, ima kshapaha, you will enjoy ramsyata, for which purpose you undertook austerities in worshipping Durga, O worshipable pure women. Okay, now text 28. Shri Shuka uvacha ityadishta bhagavata labdha kama kumarikaha dhyayantyastat padam bhojam krichran nirvivishur rajam. Translation. Shukadev Goswami said, thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the young girls, their desire now fulfilled, could bring themselves only with great difficulty to return to the village of Raja, meditating all the while upon his lotus feet. purport by disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The gopis' desire was fulfilled because Lord Krishna had agreed to act as their husband. A young girl can never spend the night with any man except her husband, and thus when Krishna agreed to engage the girls in the nocturnal rasa dance during the coming autumn season, in effect he was agreeing to reciprocate their love for him in the role of a husband. And I also want to read the commentary, just a little bit of the commentary of Sanatana Goswami. They who had their desire fulfilled, labdha kama, were instructed by the Lord, who revealed his essential qualities as Bhagavan by indicating the rasa dance, to return to Vraja, since they received the order from him, he who tells the truth. But they entered Vraja in sorrow. Why? They meditated on his lotus feet but could not see them directly. They were pained in separation. Without speaking, they entered Vraja, near Vivishuhu. Since they no longer intended to go to the Jamuna for vows, they had worshipped Katyayani by Krishna's boon. They considered their desire fulfilled. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Tinamane. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyadya Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas here, that I can speak a few words on these two beautiful verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in text 27, the word siddhaha, having achieved your desire, and text 28, labdha kama, having obtained their desire. So the gopis, Krishna is saying, now your desire is fulfilled. And they feel their desire has been fulfilled. And they're not, Sanatana Goswami is saying they're no longer continuing with their worship of Durga, and they are going back. So I wanted to talk more about desire, which is something that Mother Irmala on Monday, you were mentioning how Krishna's yoga Ishvar. He knows the desire of every living entity, and he fulfills the desire exactly according to the living entity's desire. And Maharaj was mentioning yesterday about how coming in contact with Krishna purifies all our material desires. So wanted to talk a little bit more about desire. So one time on a morning walk, there was one disciple who didn't get to ask a question to Srila Prabhupada, but just as Prabhupada was getting into his car, the disciple ran up to Srila Prabhupada and asked his burning question, what is required to become Krishna conscious? And Srila Prabhupada answered with one word. Do you know what that word was? Desire. Which is not something that we would think of first thing. We would think, love or something, greed, chanting, but desire, because that is the most important thing that the jiva has. The living entity is very dependent. Like, we have no control even of, how our brain is going to work, how we can digest our food. We're very dependent, either on the material nature or when we're pure devotees on the spiritual nature. But one thing that we have that even Krishna doesn't take away from the living entity is desire. We can desire, and that's our that's our free will. What do we want? I think Drishta Prabhu, you mentioned in one of the classes, like it's kind of like a switch, like either we desire Krishna or we desire Maya. So the subtle body is what holds the desire here in this world. And according to the desire, we get our next body. So if someone is desiring something, then this material nature, Krishna within the heart, they arrange that that person will get a body according to that desire in their next life. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Prakrite kriyamanani guna karmani sarvashaha ahankara iti manye kartaham iti manyate. That we think that we're the doer, but actually everything is being carried out by the three modes of material nature. So it's also described in the Bhagavad Gita that the super soul, Krishna, is accompanying the living entity life after life, and he's their best friend, just like two birds in a tree. So the Paramatma, he senses the desire of the living entity. Just like it's described, if you're next to a very fragrant flower, you can smell it just because you're next to it. So the super soul, just by being near us, he can sense our desires. And I wanted to just read a few sentences from this purport, which I really like this purport. It's from chapter 5, text 15. When the living entity is bewildered in his desires, the Lord allows him to fulfill those desires, but the Lord is never responsible for the actions and reactions of the particular situation which may be desired. Being in a bewildered condition, therefore, the embodied soul identifies himself with the circumstantial material body and becomes subjected to the temporary misery and happiness of life. The Lord is the constant companion of the living entity as Paramatma, or the super soul, and therefore he can understand the desire of the individual soul, as one can smell the fragrance of a flower by being near it. Desire is a subtle form of conditioning for the living entity. The Lord fulfills his desire as he deserves. Man proposes, and God disposes. The individual is not therefore omnipotent in fulfilling his desires. The Lord, however, can fulfill all desires, and the Lord, being neutral to everyone, does not interfere with the desires of the minute, independent living entity. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to him and be eternally happy. So Krishna doesn't interfere with our desires, but I really like that last part. But when he sees it, we have some little inclination for him, then he really encourages that and he makes arrangements so that we can come closer to him. That last sentence. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to him and be eternally happy. So the question is, what do we really want? What do we really want? I heard a lecture of Niranjana Swami, and he said, there's a Krishna-shaped hole that's missing in our heart, and we're trying to fill it with all other kinds of things, and we're not getting any satisfaction. It's just like a puzzle piece that's missing, and then you try to put other puzzle pieces in there, and it's not really fitting. So oftentimes the real desire of every living entity is to have that intimate, loving relationship with Krishna. But we are not finding, we are trying to fill in that gap, so many other things, and nothing is making it work. One time I saw a mother with a child who was really tired and crying, and the mother knew the child just needed to sleep. But the child didn't want to sleep, and the child wanted to try playing, and that didn't work, and crying more, then tried to eat, and that also couldn't find any and then everything the child was doing was just ending up crying. So finally, when the mother could put the child to sleep, then after that, when the child woke up, the child was back to normal and happy and just, felt good. So that's often what it is like. We don't really know what we want. We think that we have, that we know, but sometimes we are trying to fulfill the real desire with false things, which just not making it work, not helping. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Krishna says that when Gopakumar comes back, he says, I've been waiting, when will you come back? And I don't interfere with the living entities. I don't make any, I don't interfere with them, with their desires. However, I made an arrangement so that you could take birth in Govardhan and meet your, that devotee that helped him in his spiritual life. So Krishna doesn't interfere, but if he sees any kind of inclination or calling out or crying or desire, oh Krishna or God, or if someone's out there, please help me, then Krishna will arrange something that will meet a devotee, and then it will start the progress. A devotee actually is even more merciful than Krishna, because a devotee does interfere in the free will of the living entities and just goes out there, knock, 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 would you like a book, or something like that, or Harinam, or something that just completely, it can start the living entity's progress in realizing what is this, maybe I can remove some of those superficial desires and find out what is really there. Now, does Krishna fulfill all of our material desires? Yes and no. Sometimes he does, and sometimes he doesn't, depending. So Dhruva Maharaj, when Dhruva Maharaj was praying to Krishna, at that time, Sakama Bhakta, he wanted a kingdom greater than his father, so he was praying to the Lord. And Krishna actually gave, even though when he saw the Lord, he realized, this is not really what I want. This is like a broken grains, of glass compared to jewels and diamonds once I'm seeing Krishna. But Krishna still gave him that kingdom because that's what he wanted. And he went through that experience. So Krishna is the best teacher and best friend and best guide. He knows exactly how to guide each individual in their progress back to him. So for some people, they may need to go through some material desires that they have, and that will actually help them to realize that this is not really what I want, and they have to just go through that experience. And for other people, Krishna doesn't fulfill their desires because he knows that will actually make them, it will take them away from him, make it harder to come to him. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a beautiful description of how Krishna thinks when the devotee asks for material things. So what is Krishna thinking at that time? This is Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 38. Krishna says, if one engages in my transcendental loving service, but at the same time wants the opulence of material enjoyment, he is very, very foolish. Indeed, he is just like a person who gives up ambrosia to drink poison. So this is Krishna thinking, which is really, I always like that when we have these verses about how Krishna thinks about something. So it's actually Krishna's quote here. Krishna kahe ama bhaje mage vishaya sukha. So Krishna's saying, if one engages in my devotional service, but at the same time he wants material enjoyment, he's very, very foolish. Indeed, he's just like a person who gives up nectar and wants to drink poison. And so then he says, since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool this material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. So this is what Krishna does sometimes. He will, and the purport Prabhupada explains this. Those who are interested in material enjoyment are known as bhukti kami. To desire material opulence while engaging in devotional service is foolish. Although the person may be foolish, Krishna, being all-intelligent, engages him in his devotional service in such a way that gradually he forgets his material opulence. The point is that we should not try to exchange loving service for material prosperity. Talking about how Krishna purifies our material desires, Maharaj was giving a lot of different examples yesterday. And one of them was the thief who wanted to steal Krishna's ornaments. And just by coming in contact with Krishna, he got purified. And then there's another example from Bhagavatam, was Aditi. So Aditi, her sons, the demigods, they were defeated by the demons, and they had to leave the heavenly planets. So Aditi was so sad. And when her husband Kashyapa Muni came and said, "What's wrong? I see that you're not happy." And she told him, I'm feeling so bad because my children got kicked out, and can you do something to help? And the first thing Kashyapa Muni said is, just see Krishna's illusory energy, so much attachment that's there to children and to family life like that. But then he said, he gave Aditi a way that she could try to fulfill her desires, but in a spiritual way. So he said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very merciful to the poor, will fulfill all of your desires, for devotional service unto him is infallible. Any method other than devotional service is useless. That is my opinion. So this goes along with the point that even if we have material desires, and still if we approach Krishna, then Krishna will fulfill it in such a way that he may fulfill it, or he may not fulfill it, but he will arrange it in such a way that it will uncover what is our real desire. Just like the mother who knows the child really wants to sleep. So very tactfully she because the baby's crying, and sometimes she'll give him the toy, but then put him near the bed, try to get him to sleep, and so we talked about what is our real desire. That's the jiva's real property. What's the thing that's inherent for every living entity is what we want. What's our desire? And what do we really want? We really want Krishna, but we may be covering up with other things. And sometimes Krishna fulfills our material desires, and sometimes he doesn't, but he knows exactly the way to deal with us so that we will ultimately find out that we really, really want only him. And the last part that I would like to talk about is, sometimes Srila Prabhupada would talk about cultivating spiritual desires, real desires. So sometimes it's important to introspect, and because life gets very busy and so many things come upon us, but sometimes to take the time to introspect, what do I really want? What's my real desire in my heart? And spending that quality time with Krishna every day, chanting the holy name, reading the scriptures, but making it a real set aside time with just me and Krishna, because that will help to help us to understand that what I really want is you, Krishna. Sachinandan Swami, he wrote a poem that I really, when I read it, I really related to it a lot. He said, the poem is titled, "Don't Trust Me." "Oh, my Lord, I think you know that I love only you. Although I pretend to love other people and things, when I cry, it's always because of missing you. Although my tears carry other names, yes, I am a divided soul. Do you know why I'm writing you all this? I want your special mercy. Don't believe my acts. Don't trust my words. But look deep into my heart, and you will see your own beautiful image." So I really related to that. Especially the part where I think you know that it's only you that I really want, even though the tears have other names. And but it's actually because I'm really missing you. So it's important to discover what the soul really wants through that quality time with Krishna every day. And praying to Krishna, that I don't really know what I want, but you know what's best for me. So you kindly arrange what's the best thing for me. Srila Prabhupada, on his poem on the Jaladuta, "I'm a puppet in your hands. You make me dance as you like. So I don't know what's in my best interest, but you know. So you please guide me. You please take care of the best thing for me." And finally, also not to judge other devotees, because we don't know what the real desire is of every living entity. And everybody has a desire for Krishna, but it's covered to certain degrees. So, for example, everybody in this room wouldn't be here if there wasn't some desire for spiritual life. So the pure devotee, like Srila Prabhupada, always tries to fan that desire, encourage that desire. There's an example of Vritrasura in the Bhagavatam. So Vritrasura, externally, he was a big Rakshasa. He was going against the demigods who are devotees of Krishna. And so if we judged him externally, we would, think, oh, that's a demon. But we don't know. Actually, Vritrasura was more pleasing to Krishna than the demigods, because his real desire was pure. I just want you, Krishna. And in the battle between the demigods and the demons, when finally Vritrasura was telling Indra, "Go ahead, throw your thunderbolt." And at that time, all of a sudden, Vritrasura went internal, and he said, "My dear," he started to offer prayers to Krishna, and those prayers are so beautiful. "My dear Lord Krishna, when will I really take shelter of you and your devotees? When will my body, my mind, my words be fully absorbed in you? When will I be so much in love with you, like a baby bird just wants its mother, and a wife longs for her husband when he's not home, and the baby calf is waiting for the mother so the calf can drink the milk of the mother." So then all of a sudden we see, who here, even though the story, it seems like Vritrasura is the big villain here, but from that desire, all of a sudden we can see, actually, he had of all of the people in the story, he was the most clear on what he really wanted. He wants devotional service. He really wants to come back to Krishna and serve Krishna. Whereas the demigods had other desires also. They had mixed desires. So Krishna is telling the gopis here, your desire is fulfilled. Your desire is now fulfilled. I fulfilled it in a way that wasn't quite exactly probably what they expected, but he completely, like Mother Irma explained on Monday, he completely fulfilled their desire exactly as they wanted it. In that parakiya ras. And now he is, and they are feeling completely satisfied and completely in love with Krishna, that he reciprocated exactly what they wanted. And Krishna is sending them home now. Okay, you have, I fulfilled your desire, and very soon you will, I will, the next Kartik, you will experience the fulfillment of your desire. So in some way their desire was already fulfilled, and in another way it's going to be fulfilled fully also in the rasa dance in the coming future. So the gopis are now feeling that their desire is fulfilled, and with great difficulty they're returning to Vraja, and they're meditating on Krishna's lotus feet as they're going back to, very difficult to leave Krishna, but they're going back feeling fully like their desire was fulfilled, feeling fully happy and satisfied. So I would like to end here and ask if anybody would like to add anything about any of these topics, or ask a question, or yes, mother-in-law. Oh. Hmm. Oh. Hmm. Hmm. So those of you who are listening online, Mother Irma said that quote, "Everyone has a God-shaped vacuum in their heart," is from Thomas Merton, who wrote, was it a particular book, or it's just his okay. It's okay. Mm. 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 Thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's association. Whatever we associate with, that's kind of the desires that we cultivate. Like if we're associating with people who are just always into drinking and partying, then we kind of cultivate those superficial desires, and the real voice that's inside gets covered over, you know. And if we associate with those who help us to uncover a real desire, then, or who have that pure desire, and then it transfers to us. That's one answer. If anybody else wants to add anything, yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Uh-huh. Hmm. Yeah. Right. Just starts with something small, and then Krishna will make some arrangement that, oh, you meet somebody, and it starts the progress. Yeah. Oh, yes, Maharaj. Mm. 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 Yeah. Mm. Right. Thank you, Maharaj. Yes. And you had some point. Yeah. Yeah. Maharaj.